And here we find the enterprise data estate, scattered like shy creatures hiding in separate valleys. Data marts evaporating in isolation, pipelines struggling upstream, dashboards drinking from stale pools. Observe the fragmentation, latency, drift, duplication. Then, with deliberate care, a new landscape appears. OneLake as the watershed, domains as territories, workspaces as nests. Power BI shows bright plumage, yes, but its survival depends on upstream health. Learn the biome, master its flows, secure its balance. Look closely here, map the habitats and their boundaries, and the whole ecosystem begins to cooperate. Habitats and territories, domains, workspaces, OneLake, Lakehouse versus warehouse. And now, observe the terrain itself. OneLake rests quietly beneath everything, the unified substrate, a single organizational lake, a truly magnificent specimen, storing tables in Delta format and files side by side. Remove its data source and it becomes distressed. Feed it correctly and the rest of the species thrive. OneLake doesn't demand one giant clearing. It governs the water table. Territories still matter. Domains define responsibility boundaries. Sales, finance, operations, HR, marketing. Each domain curates its own habitat and rituals. Upset this balance, and chaos spreads swiftly. With domains, ownership is legible. Lineage is easier to track. Stewardship has a place to live. Domains reduce sprawl not by fences alone, but by shared expectations of care. Data contracts, refresh discipline, label usage, incident paths. Within each domain, workspaces form the practical nests. They tie to capacity, the energy budget of the habitat. Dev workspaces are experimental clearings where makers roam. Prod workspaces are protected breeding grounds for hardened species. The bronze, silver, gold layering appears here like soil strata. Bronze captures raw sediment exactly as it lands. Silver standardizes and removes debris. Gold is curated forage, ready for broad consumption. When a gold patch is trampled with ad hoc changes, the herd becomes nervous. Keep trails clear. Promotion pipelines, approvals, and versioning restore calm. Now observe the two complementary shelters, Lakehouse and Warehouse. The Lakehouse is open terrain, files, delta tables, and shortcuts to distant groves. Analysts, engineers, and data scientists wander together here, leaving tracks in Power Query, Spark, or notebooks. Shortcuts act as territory bridges. They carry responsibility with them. If a sales lakehouse shortcuts to a finance gold table, finance's governance flows across that bridge. No duplication, no secret feedings at night. The warehouse is more structured shelter, a SQL-first habitat where relational creatures prefer orderly paths. It provides a sturdy canopy for star schema dwellers and familiar tooling, TSQL, views, stored procedures, and performance dashboards. The warehouse complements the lakehouse, not replaces it. Many flocks move between them, ingest and refine in the lakehouse, then expose steady SQL endpoints via the warehouse when the herd needs consistent lanes and indexing behavior. Above both shelters, the semantic model becomes the shared language of the ecosystem. Measures, relationships, and roles describe how species relate regardless of where they forage. Created once, reused often, this shared vocabulary stops the chatter of conflicting definitions. Revenue means the same sound in every clearing. When aligned to OneLake, these models can speak in direct lake, grazing directly on delta tables without import rituals. Reports and dashboards preen and display, but their vitality depends on that semantic tongue and the health of upstream flows. Capacity, meanwhile, is the climate, too weak, and storms of refresh backlogs roll in. Too strong without governance, and waste lingers like standing water. Assign capacities to domains thoughtfully. Separate dev from prod to shield the nesting grounds. Monitor lineage and usage telemetry as migration patterns. Who drinks where, how often, and at what cost. Then, with remarkable precision, adjust quotas, schedules, and caching to keep the herd balanced. Finally, watch how purview sensitivity labels and OneLake security mark the food chain. Labels travel with the data, feather tags that persist across tools. OneLake item level and column level controls act like gentle wardens at the edge of the glade, allowing only the right eyes to see the right leaves. Row level security narrows the view further. A regional manager sees only her watershed, never the whole river. This is not restriction for its own sake. It is habitat stability. It preserves trust. So the map is clear. Domains as territories, workspaces as nests bound to capacity, bronze, silver, gold as soil, lakehouse as open range, warehouse as structured shelter, and the semantic model as the language that binds the species. Keep the bridges honest. Shortcuts must carry stewardship. Keep the climate steady. Capacities must fit the season. Maintain the tags. Labels and roles must follow the herd. Once this balance holds, Power BI's bright displays are not a miracle, just the natural outcome of a healthy ecosystem. Rivers, streams, and currents, pipelines, data flows, Gen 2 ingestion governance. Now, observe the water. Every habitat survives on its rivers, calm tributaries from SAS headwaters, snowmelt from CRM plateaus, groundwater seeping from files and databases. Its Data Factory provides the channels, over 300 connectors, each a reliable spring, bring flow down to OneLake's shore. But tread carefully here. A river without banks becomes a floodplain. Set the banks first. Dataflow's Gen 2 appears as a gentle, well-worn stream for analysts. It uses the familiar Power Query engine, shaping stones into smooth forms as it travels. Drop a CSV into files, and with a few transformations, data types, merges, conditional branches, the stream settles into delta tables in the Lakehouse. No heavy machines required. The herd drinks sooner. Shortcuts and mirroring behave like engineered canals. A shortcut carries water from a distant lake without scooping buckets. Zero copy, lineage intact. Mirroring, meanwhile, runs a near real-time flume from operational databases, SQL, Postgres, Cosmos, into curated delta beds. The upstream remains undisturbed. The downstream receives fresh flow. Once the stream hits OneLake, every species can sip. Spark, SQL, Power BI. All without building separate ditches. The bronze, silver, gold gradient is hydraulic logic. Bronze is raw capture, silt, sticks, the full sediment of reality. Silver settles the particulates, conformance, standardized types, keys aligned. Gold is clear, curated water, business ready, predictable depth, safe crossing points. Resist the urge to shortcut the settling ponds. When debris isn't given space to sink, it drifts into displays and cuts the hooves. Telemetry is the river ranger. Lineage shows the map, which inlet feeds which pool. Catalog marks the signposts, discoverable names, descriptions, ownership. Drift detection listens for a new sound in the current. A column missing, a type changed, a widened pipe. When you hear that change, adjust the weirs, update the schema, alert the stewards, revise the schedule. Remember this number: one owner per flow. Shared streams without a named steward dry out or burst banks. Back pressure matters. Not every river should flow forever. Set retention at each stage. Bronze for weeks to replay incidents. Silver for months to ensure stability. Gold for as long as governance and cost agree. Quotas prevent overgrazing. Concurrency caps keep turbines from overheating. Schedule cadence reflects the herd's thirst. Hourly for inventory, daily for sales, real time for fraud. Everything changes when a stream is matched to its purpose. Now observe schedule ownership. A flow without a caretaker slips time. Assign maintainers at the domain level. The sales steward owns sales flows. Publish contact points. When a flood arrives or a drought is sensed, responders know which banks to raise. Use deployment pipelines as migration ladders. Dev to test to prod with approvals, parameterized connections, and versioned definitions. The fish climb reliably. The water remains clear below. A microstory from the field path. An analyst landing customer files uses data flows Gen 2 to promote them from bronze to silver. Header fixes, age calculation, segmentation banding. The stream writes to Delta in the Lakehouse, and a semantic model downstream switches its intake to the new silver pool. Reports brighten without a full reservoir swap. That's the power of aligned channels. Governance watches the spillways. Define who can create shortcuts. Bridges must carry the originating domain's rules. Register every river in the catalog with sensitivity labels. Public, internal, confidential, highly confidential, so the tags travel downstream into Power BI and Office. OneLake security controls outbound tributaries. Spark cannot quietly carve a tunnel to an outside valley. Upset this balance and chaos spreads swiftly. Finally, cost is the tide. Monitor egress, compute minutes, failed refresh retries. If a nightly deluge moves one pebble, reduce the flow. If a trickle starves the meadow, widen the gate. With remarkable precision, tune pipelines, data flows, and mirroring frequency until the ecosystem hums. Not silent, not roaring, simply steady. Then the bright-feathered species will return each morning, drink, and display without panic. The Power BI species, semantic models, direct lake, reports, dashboards. Now observe the bright-feathered species as it steps to the water's edge. Power BI is not the lake. It is the display bird that survives because the currents upstream are clean. Its call carries far across the valley, but only when the shared language beneath it is sound. That language is the semantic model. Measures, relationships, and roles. These are its grammar and tone. Define the grain of each table with care. A fact table that forgets its keys becomes a confused creature, darting in circles. A dimension that repeats names without surrogate keys attracts predators called ambiguity. When the model is tuned, star shape clear, relationships directional and intentional, measures composed from base columns rather than layered on other measures, the species sings with confidence. Revenue, margin, win rate. Each call precise, repeatable, and understood across clearings. Then, with remarkable precision, watch direct lake behavior. Where once the species required daily feeding rituals, imports at dawn, refresh queues at dusk, direct lake frees it to graze directly on delta tables in OneLake. No sacks of cached grain to lug around, no stale fodder lingering after the weather changes. The preconditions matter: delta format, compatible model structure, and access to the right pools. Satisfy these, and visuals respond with the snap of import and the freshness of live water. The grazing path shortens, the energy returns to the display. Now, a brief demonstration ritual. Demo A in the field notes. The keeper creates a lakehouse in the sales domain. A shortcut bridges to curated internet sales in silver with dimensions: date, geography, product, customer, crossing from endorsed groves. A default semantic model appears. The keeper opens it, sketches relationships, many to one from internet sales to date, customer, geography, product. One base measure rises. Total sales equals sum sales amount. Formats it as currency, a small grooming act that matters. Then Power BI desktop connects using direct lake. The species lifts. A map, visuals by country with total sales, a bar of age breakdown from the new silver customer table, a trend line by month. No refresh ritual, no import feed. The bird eats from the stream and displays at once. But tread carefully here. Visibility invites predators called misconception. 3 approach the clearing often. First, Fabric replaces Power BI. Not so. Power BI remains the species that displays the truth. Fabric is the ecosystem that sustains it. Second, OneLake means one giant workspace. No, OneLake is a watershed, not a single nest. Domains and workspaces still govern territory. Third, Fabric is for engineers, not BI people. Observe data flows Gen 2 and shortcuts. They make engineering approachable. The stepping stones are flat. The currents slow enough for analysts to cross. Reports and dashboards are the courtship dance. Reports allow exploration. Slices as branches, drill-through paths as burrow trails, Bookmarks as ritual postures. Dashboards pin the sightings for daily patrols. A quick scan of the meadow at sunrise. Love from the business depends on upstream honesty. When a manager slices by region and the totals ripple oddly, trust scatters like starlings. The remedy isn't louder feathers, it's a cleaner intake. Fix the silver conformance, refine the role security, clarify the measure. Roles. Observe their quiet influence. Row-level security narrows the species' field of view naturally. A regional lead sees only her watershed. A product director sees only his herd. Role logic belongs in the semantic model, close to the language, so every report using that tongue inherits the same sightlines. Do not laminate security in visuals. That is camouflage, not protection. Everything changes when the semantic model becomes a shared species, not a private one. Publish it as a certified model in the domain's gold workspace. Invite reuse. The herd stops reinventing revenue and starts debating outliers instead. Performance follows. A single, well-tuned model scales better than many hidden, slightly different cousins nibbling at the same patch. Finally, watch the energy budget. Even direct lake can tire if star schemas are muddled or cardinality explodes. Prune white text columns from facts. Aggregate where business questions allow. Use composite models only when the migration route demands an interim roost. Lineage will show who drinks where. Use it to rescue overgrazed clearings and to celebrate efficient trails. So the lesson is simple, handled with care. Nurture the semantic language. Let direct lake shorten the path to fresh water. Stage the dances, reports and dashboards only after the channels run clear. And the bright-feathered species will not just survive here. It will become the signal that the entire ecosystem is healthy. Predators and protection, security, compliance, life cycle. Now observe what prowls at the edge of the clearing. Visibility draws attention, and attention invites predators. Curiosity from the herd is welcome. Exfiltration, tampering, and accidental oversharing are not. A healthy ecosystem survives because its protections are woven into the habitat, not draped over it after the tracks are set. Territory rights come first. Workspace roles are the boundary stones. Admin, member, contributor, viewer. Assign them with intention. Dev clearings allow more footprints. Prod remains a protected breeding ground. Upset this balance and chaos spreads swiftly. Ad hoc edits in gold, unexplained metric shifts, nocturnal refresh storms. Restore calm with deployment pipelines. Dev, test, prod, so species migrate predictably, not in panicked flocks. Row-level security narrows the field of view to the proper watershed. Define it in the semantic model, the language layer, so every report inherits the same sightlines. Roles travel with the model like a quiet scent. Visuals need no camouflage. When geography, business unit, or customer segment governs access, encode those rules as filters tied to identity. The bird sees only its valley. The valley remains undisturbed. Object and column level controls step in when finer leaves must remain hidden. Sensitive columns, national IDs, credit card tokens, salary bands can be masked or excluded per role. In the warehouse shelter, SQL permissions and views provide orderly lanes. In the Lakehouse range, OneLake's item, folder, and column-level security act like gentle wardens at the trailhead, granting passage to the right foragers while keeping seedlings from curious mouths. Labels mark the food chain. Purview sensitivity labels, public, internal, confidential, highly confidential, are feather tags that travel with the data across tools, Power BI, Excel, Teams, even out to Office co-authoring. Apply them at the workspace where possible. Let inheritance simplify care. When the label changes, downstream creatures adjust posture, export restrictions, watermarking, data loss prevention, without fresh instruction calls. This is compliance behaving like nature, always on, seldom theatrical. Observe OneLake protections guarding the water's edge. Outbound access controls prevent Spark from carving secret channels to foreign valleys. Private link keeps traffic on trusted paths, away from open plains. Customer-managed keys, where required, add another carapace to the shell. None of this is ornamental. It is quiet strength, invisible until disturbed. Audit, lineage, and usage are the ecosystem's hearing. Lineage shows who drank where, upstream to downstream, table to model to report. When numbers shift at dawn, follow the tracks upstream. Usage metrics reveal grazing pressure, which reports the herd visits, which models carry the weight, which queries stir the silt. Anomalous patterns, sudden exports, unusual volumes, after-hours flurries, raise a soft alarm. The steward's approach, not with panic, but with practiced curiosity. Now, a brief demonstration ritual, Demo B in the field notes. In the Sales Gold workspace, the keeper opens the semantic model and assigns a region manager role, region, a user principal name. Mapped through a lookup. Next, a sensitivity label, confidential, is applied at the workspace, feathering every item within. Back in Power BI, two viewers step to the bank, one from EMEA, one from North America. The same report shows different valleys. The watermark appears, export is limited, no brittle visual level filters, no duplicated reports by region. The protection resides in the habitat itself. Lifecycle completes the defense. Source control ties definitions to a living chronicle. Who changed the measure, when a relationship pivoted, why the refresh cadence shifted. Deployment pipelines carry artifacts up the migration ladders with parameters and checks. Dev endpoints here, prod endpoints there, ensuring the fish released upstream are the same ones expected downstream. Rollback is a tide, not a landslide. Governance is stewardship, not spectacle. Name the stewards in each domain, humans with ears to the river. Publish contact points. Define incident paths. Schema drift at bronze. Conformance breach at silver. Semantic change at gold. Schedule ownership belongs to the domain that drinks the water. Back pressure rules, retention horizons, capacity quotas. All documented, all visible in the catalog. Finally, remember this quiet truth. Protection does not slow the ecosystem. It grants it the confidence to move. When roles live in the language, labels travel with the grain, and migrations climb predictable ladders, the bright-feathered species can display without fear. The predators stay at the tree line, wary of a habitat that knows itself and defends itself. With grace, symbiotic species, Copilot, and AI assistance. Now, observe the helper at the edge of the glade. Copilot arrives as a symbiont, not a predator, not a replacement, a diligent cleaner that lives on the same branch as the bright-feathered species, grooming what it cannot reach. It learns the rhythms of the habitat and whispers useful suggestions, but only when the water is clear and the language is consistent. Look closely here. In the Lakehouse, Copilot drafts ingestion steps, proposes power query transforms, suggests column types, even scaffolds a data flows Gen 2 stream from bronze to silver. It reads the strata and proposes orderly layers. In the semantic model, it nudges measure definitions, repairs relationships, and translates a business question into a DAX sketch ready for the keeper's touch. Then, with remarkable precision, it cites lineage so the steward can verify provenance before anything migrates upstream. But tread carefully here. A symbiont thrives in a clean habitat. In disordered terrain, its guidance becomes uncertain, like a bird calling from fog. When tables lack keys, when labels are missing, when domains blur responsibility, Copilot's confidence wanes. Restore clarity, schemas named, ownership listed, sensitivity labels applied, and the symbiont grows precise again. Governance-aligned prompts strengthen the bond. Use endorsed silver sources. Respect confidential tags. Limit output to fields approved for export. Observe permission awareness. Copilot only sees what the identity can see. Row-level security closes its view naturally. Item-level controls bound its reach. The result is a polite companion. It works within the valley, never over the ridge. Agents extend the behavior further. Small, specialized symbionts that can traverse mirrored sources, align facts across domains, and return with stitched insights, still wearing the right labels. A micro-story from the clearing. A maker asks, "Show me win rate by segment and region." Copilot scans the certified model, recognizes the base measures, and composes a visual layout with proper filters. It highlights that a geography lookup is missing for a new EMEA subregion and offers the data flows Gen 2 step to correct it. The keeper approves, the stream is published to Silver, and the semantic measure continues unchanged. No drama, just helpful grooming. Finally, health checks. Copilot audits schedules, flags, long refresh queues, and points at gold tables that seldom receive visitors. Consider archiving, it suggests. Not an order, a gentle nudge. In this ecosystem, intelligence isn't a showy roar. It is quiet, context-aware assistance that keeps the trails neat so the species can display with confidence. Field path, sales analytics journey plus 30-day governance starter, and here we follow a migration any flock can trace. The sales domain prepares its path. CRM headwaters, Lakehouse, data flows, Gen 2, semantic model, Power BI display. A calm, repeatable journey, watched by stewards and guarded by labels. First, ingestion. A data factory connector draws daily changes from CRM, accounts, opportunities, activities, into the sales lakehouse as bronze delta. Lineage records the inlet, sensitivity is marked internal, and ownership is assigned to the sales steward. Backpressure rules retain 14 days in bronze for replay. Second, refinement. Data flows. Gen 2 promotes to silver. Data types fixed, surrogate keys created, closed one logic standardized, a date table conformed. The customer stream merges marketing segments. The activity stream derives touch frequency. Each flow has one named maintainer, a schedule posted, and drift detection configured. The silver watershed becomes predictable. Third, language. A sales semantic model in the gold workspace defines grain and relationships. Internet sales fact-to-date customer product geography. Measures sing clearly. Total sales, pipeline, win rate, average deal size, quota attainment. Row-level security narrows sightlines by region. A product role offers a different view. The model is certified for reuse. Purview applies confidential at the workspace, so the tag travels into Power BI and Office. Fourth, display. Reports show the meadow at sunrise, a pipeline funnel by stage, a trend by month, a map by region, a table of at-risk deals by inactivity. Direct Lake shortens the path. Visuals graze on silver and gold delta. Managers filter confidently. Numbers hold their shape. Now the 30-day baseline settles the habitat. Day 1 to 7, establish domains. Sales, finance, operations, HR, marketing, and appoint data stewards with published contact paths. Create dev and prod workspaces per domain. Block personal fabric workspaces for workloads. Day 8 to 14. Adopt naming that reads like signposts. Sales, bronze, Lakehouse, sales, gold, semantic model. Register streams in the catalog with owners, descriptions, and labels. Day 15 to 21. Implement bronze, silver, gold rituals with deployment pipelines. Dev, test, prod, parameterized connections, approvals, and versioned definitions. Define retention horizons and backpressure thresholds per layer. Day 22-30. Apply purview sensitivity labels at the workspace. Configure OneLake item and column level security for sensitive leaves. Set capacity assignments. Dev and prod separate, and monitor usage and lineage. Publish the sales model as certified. Run Demo A and Demo B to prove the path and the protection. Finally, stewardship becomes a living practice. The sales steward owns schedules, watches lineage, reviews usage weekly, and prunes stale branches. With the field path marked, new makers join without trampling shoots. The habitat remains calm. The displays stay bright. The migration repeats without panic. Quick migration path. From existing datasets to Fabric plus Direct Lake. Now observe a careful migration, not a stampede. Many bright-feathered flocks already live in older groves, classic datasets, scheduled imports, brittle gateways. The path to Fabric and Direct Lake should feel like a calm seasonal move. Species by species, valley by valley. First, audit the current clearings. Catalog every dataset. Size, refresh cadence, sources, gateway dependencies, RLS rules, and report attachments. Lineage becomes your map. Which reports drink from which models nibble from which spreadsheets or databases. Mark candidates for Direct Lake. Star-like models with fact dimension shape, heavy import refresh pane, and sources you can land as Delta in OneLake. Second, prepare the landing shore. Create a lakehouse or warehouse in the correct domain and workspace. Dev first, capacity assigned, naming aligned. If you intend Direct Lake, ensure the tables will arrive in Delta format. Shortcuts can bridge endorsed sources. Mirroring can bring operational changes downstream. If M transformations in the old model are intricate or opaque, lift them into data flows Gen 2. That's where shaping belongs. The herd will thank you later. Third, move the water, not the buckets. Land data into bronze, promote to silver with conformance, data types, surrogate keys, business logic defined ones. Validate record counts and joins against the old model. Use small sample slices to confirm calculations. When the silver pool looks right, you're ready to teach the species a new song. Fourth, recreate the semantic language. Either auto-generate a semantic model from the Lakehouse or recreate it by design, aligning tables, relationships, and base measures. Keep names, formats, and folder structures familiar to reduce startle. Re-implement row-level security in the model. It never migrates by itself. Test roles with real identities. A report that looks right to an admin can still frighten a regional bird. Fifth, reattach the displays. Point existing reports to the new semantic model. In many cases, the visuals lift easily if field names and measure signatures match. Where visuals relied on hidden transformations, replace them with proper measures or silver logic. This is a gentle pruning, fewer wild vines, more sturdy branches. Sixth, exercise the new grays. Validate performance in Direct Lake. Filter responsiveness, visual load, bookmark jumps. If a table is too wide, trim unused columns from facts. If relationships are confused, simplify cardinalities. Remember, Direct Lake sings when delta is present, the model is tidy, and the star is clear. Seventh, migrate the habitat's roles. Replicate workspace permissions, certify the model, apply purview sensitivity labels at the workspace so tags travel into Office. Configure OneLake item and column level controls where needed. The herd should feel the same boundaries, just stronger, quieter, and native to the habitat. Eighth, plan the cutover. Communicate the window. Freeze edits on the old model. Switch report bindings in a controlled sequence. Keep the old watering hole read only for a short overlap, a safety pool for comparisons. Then drain it deliberately. Deprecate, archive, and remove gateways no longer needed. The noise of pumps and hoses fades. The river runs on its own. Ninth, monitor the new trails. Watch lineage, usage, and refresh health. Listen for confused calls, report comments, support channels, and respond quickly. Small adjustments early prevent flock-wide anxiety. Celebrate wins, reduced refresh time, faster load, fewer failures. The herd learns the new pattern. 3 quiet warnings from the tree line. Direct Lake requires delta. Parquet without delta won't do. Very complex M living inside old datasets belongs in data flows Gen 2 or pipelines, not in the bird's throat. An RLS never migrates automatically. Redefine it in the new model with care. Strategy governs pace. Start with low-risk species, department sandboxes, read-only dashboards, before touching apex models. Migrate in bands, not in a single great flight. Each successful move teaches stewards and makers how to adapt. That is how an ecosystem evolves, not with panic, but with practiced, seasonal grace. Becoming a steward of the Fabric ecosystem, and so the lesson settles softly over the valley. Power BI thrives when the ecosystem upstream is clear, governed, and alive. OneLake steady beneath, domains tending their territories, and the shared language carrying true. Continue to observe this ecosystem with care. Adopt the 30-day baseline, run the field demos, and begin the sales migration with one calm stream. For a full system walkthrough and live Q&A, subscribe and step into the next clearing. The stewardship never ends, and the habitat grows stronger when you return.